#1 New York Times best-selling author Pierce Davenport. The War of Blood. Rating: 5 swords. Join me on Twitter at #ClashOfCrowns to discuss the War of Blood. Issue number 78. Musings from a Fantasy Man. The world's biggest authority on all things fantasy fiction. The Clash of Crowns, April 7, NBO. Is it as good as the book? Written by Joe Fantasy Wilcox. You bet your ass it is. I don't know how, but the folks of NBO managed to capture the very essence of the Cadiathus world, bottle it, and put it on screen. My only wish is that I could have watched the first episode in the theater with my fellow Crownies. I'll write more later, but for now, I need to rewatch episode 1 about 10 more times until it soaks into my very life force. Join me on Twitter at #ClashOfCrowns to discuss all things Clash of Crowns. Issue number 116. Musings from a Fantasy Man. The world's biggest authority on all things fantasy fiction. The Clash of Crowns Book 3 has finally dropped. Written by Joe Fantasy Wilcox. Was the Chamber of Dragons worth 2 days of waiting in line in the rain and cold? Yes, it was. The book picks up where the War of Blood leaves off, with Ogden about to be hanged and Surin on her way to stop it. I won't tell you what happens because I'm not a total douche canoe who spoils books for people, but let me say this. I almost crapped in my pants. The endless night has started, which quite frankly speeds up the frantic pace of the series and turns up the heat even more for Luke and Una's relationship. 2 characters were never meant to be together more than this pair. I don't want to sound like a girl, but I think I might die if they don't end up together. Like, literally die. I honestly cannot figure out how Davenport is going to get Luke and Matt out of the bind he has them in. Seriously, no idea. It looks like Davenport has written himself into a corner, but with his level of genius, he must know how to finally end the race for the crown. #1 New York Times best-selling author Pierce Davenport. The Chamber of Dragons. So terrifying you just might pee your pants. Melanie Summers. Rating: 5 swords. Join me on Twitter at #ClashOfCrowns to discuss all things Clash of Crowns. Issue number 144. Musings from a Fantasy Man. The world's biggest authority on all things fantasy fiction. Where the F is Book 4. Written by Joe Fantasy Wilcox. 2 years. That is how late Pierce Davenport is on turning in his homework, ladies and gentlemen. And I, for one, have had it. That's why you will find me, along with a few dozen other die-hard Crownies, camped out in front of Pierce's downtown luxury apartment building until we have the ending we deserve. Honestly, I'm starting to fear that I was right when I suggested Davenport has written himself into a corner and there is no feasible way out. If he did, this will be the greatest disappointment of my life. Join us there at 152 Richmond Street, Valcourt, Avonia, for a 24/7 vigil for the people of Cadiathus, who are currently waiting in peril while Davenport dicks around doing God knows what. Bring your own sleeping bag, food, and water. We're welcome to use the bathroom at the Starbucks across the street, but you must purchase something, so make sure you have some money. #1 worst case of writer's block, Pierce Davenport. The endless wait for the end. Join me on Twitter at #PierceSucks to discuss all things Clash of Crowns.
1. Bellinis are a bad idea. Emma Banks, Culinary Institute of America, New York campus. Emma, you're not still asleep, are you? The voice of